In the following presentation and the website hosting the content, we will define autonomous vehicle by the definitions that have been assigned by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the varying industry and tech leaders. We will define the 6 levels of vehicle autonomy, history, technology behind the vehicles, security and data concerns, and autonomous vehicles in the news today. An autonomous vehicle is one that can operate and guide itself without human interaction. The National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration uses the term automated driving system, which is also known as a self-driving car, truck, or vehicle. However, there are varying degrees of agreement on the terminology. Techmergence, an artificial intelligence market research and media platform, has stated that self-driving is a rather vague term with vague meaning. The Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE, further classify autonomous vehicle by stating some driving automation systems may be indeed autonomous if they perform all of their functions independently and self-sufficiently. But if they depend on communication or cooperation with outside entities, they should be considered cooperative rather than autonomous. In 2016, the Department of Transportation adopted the SAE J3-016 6 levels of vehicle autonomy, a topic to be discussed later in this video. To avoid confusion, we will understand that an autonomous vehicle is one that has the capability of running with various degrees of human interaction. However, we will concentrate on those vehicles with an SAE rating of level 3 or higher. Furthermore, the following paper, video, and website will be dedicated primarily to the focus on those vehicles across the United States highways and byways. The U.S. Department of Transportation has adopted the SAE automation levels, which were as follows. Level 0, no automation, 0 autonomy. Driver performs all driving tasks. Level 1, driver assistance. Vehicle is controlled by the driver, however, some driving assist features may be included in the manufacturer's design. Level 2, partial automation. Vehicle has combined automated functions such as acceleration, steering, and emergency braking. A caveat to this classification is that the driver must remain engaged with the driving tasks at all times. Level 3, conditional automation. A driver is a necessity, however they are not required to monitor their operating environment. The driver must be able to assume control of the vehicle at all times with notice. Level 4, high automation. The vehicle is capable of performing all operational functions under given conditions. The driver in this mode still has the option of controlling the vehicle. Level 5, full automation. Vehicle can operate and perform all functions under all conditions. The driver may elect to take controls of the vehicle if they are present. Many know of Tesla and Waymo for their strides in autonomous vehicles. However, they aren't the only players in the game. Other industry participants are, but not limited to, Where did the driverless technology start? We can look at a sailboat's auto-tiller, which allows a vessel to stay on course against shifting wind conditions. One can argue that trains were autonomous with their use of tracks. It only required man to feed the beast and apply the brakes. Or we can jump to the Wright brothers just a meager 10 years after their first flight. Aircraft were equipped with their first autopilots, Mechanical Mike.
It was in 1925, however, that Francis Houdina demonstrated a remote-controlled car that worked its way down the streets of Manhattan. The New York Times published the phenomenon. The radio-controlled vehicle starts its engine, shifts gears, and sounds its horn, as if a phantom hand were at the wheel. New York Times.
In 1968, Dr. John McCarthy, a computer scientist and founding father of artificial intelligence, wrote an article entitled Computer-Controlled Cars. Dr. McCarthy foresaw an automatic chauffeur capable of navigating roadways utilizing a computer equipped with a television camera for input that uses the same visual input available to the human driver. He goes on to outline the benefits of the automatic chauffeur and how it will accomplish its tasks. These tasks would be accomplished by entering them onto a keyboard where you could choose your destination, slow down, or make rest stops. In 1979, Stanford University developed the Stanford Cart. It utilizes video processing to navigate a cluttered area without human input. In 1995, an autonomous vehicle drives nearly completely autonomous for approximately 2,000 kilometers. The team was located at the University of Munich, Germany, in conjunction with Mercedes-Benz in the Eureka Prometheus project on autonomous vehicles. In 1996, Dr. Dean Pomerleau hypothesizes in his doctoral thesis that neural networks would allow self-driving vehicles to take in raw images, then output them to the steering wheel in real time. In 2004, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, entered into the field with their grand challenge. In 2009, under the guidance of Stanford professor Sebastian Thrun, Google's self-driving car project began. In 2013, some of the world's major automakers are all working on autonomous vehicles to include General Motors, BMW, Mercedes, Ford, and Nissan. In 2016, Google's self-driving car is involved in its first accident. Also in the same year, Google's self-driving car program branches off and becomes its own entity, Waymo, under the Alphabet parent company. Waymo is derived from a new way forward in mobility. In 2018, NVIDIA unveils their Xavier, which will incorporate artificial intelligence capabilities. In addition, they will partner with Volkswagen for future AI and self-driving cars. With so many companies actively pursuing autonomous vehicle research, what are the global standards set in place to ensure rider and public safety? The short answer is none. Individual states are deciding what rules and regulations need to be in place, if any. Brookings Institution has published a list of states that have either passed laws, written executive orders, have pending legislation, failed at legislature, or have not established any written policy. As of this document being created, 7 states haven't adopted any official policy on autonomous vehicles. In 2017, the RAND Corporation published a 15-page document titled Autonomous Vehicles and Federal Safety Standards and Exemption to the Rule. In the document, it was explained that there exists a split between the driver safety, which is regulated by the state and local governments, and vehicle safety, which is federally mandated under Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, FMVSS. Autonomous vehicles bring another query to the table: how to protect against cyber attacks and protect the community around us when dealing with autonomous vehicles. Currently, the NHTSA has following cybersecurity proposals set forth: a prioritized detection process for critical vehicle safety controls, detection and response to potential cyber attacks while on America's roads, a requirement that designs have rapid recovery and built-in resiliency to cyber attacks, and a method of information sharing for the quick adoption industry-wide standards. This has led to, at the behest of the NHTSA, industry leaders creating AutoISAC in 2015, a non-profit information sharing organization which is owned by suppliers and auto manufacturers. The National Society of Professional Engineers, NSPE, in 2016 also put forth their 12 outcome-based standards: vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity, safety features, manual controls, security, risk assessment, ethics compliance disclosure, self-sufficiency, accountability, redundancy, third-party verification, map standardization, and training and operational licensing. According to the NSPE, the aforementioned are a launching point for standardization in public safety. But what of the importance of protecting the embedded systems within the cyber-physical system? The CPS is continually growing in complexity and manageability as the systems have millions of lines of code and are continually growing. The challenges that are faced are third-party takeover, unauthorized access to personal information, law enforcement, remote emergency control, and potential weaknesses in autonomous vehicle designs. One potential threat to the autonomous vehicle is the embedded Bluetooth design. In a single scenario, attackers were able to remotely take over a vehicle due to security flaws in the Bluetooth design. Argus Cybersecurity, an Israeli security company, hacked Bosch's DriveLog Connect and were able to shut down a moving vehicle. Argus found 2 flaws during their research: first, a security flaw located in the dongle itself, and the next involved an information breach during authentication process. Former hackers, now security consultants Charlie Miller and Chris Valesic, hacked a Jeep Cherokee in 2015 through its infotainment center. During the demonstration, they manipulated the climate control, entertainment systems, and even brought the vehicle to a dead stop on an exit ramp in St. Louis, Missouri. How was it accomplished? Miller and Valesic gained access through the vehicle's Uconnect infotainment systems. Through this exploit, they were able to successfully shut down the vehicle while it was in operation. Indeed, they could have accomplished this task from any location in the country simply by knowing the IP address of the vehicle. Once the exploit was discovered, it was disclosed to the manufacturer and a recall was issued to over 1.4 million vehicles. Charlie Miller and Chris Valesic aren't the only ones to shut down a vehicle. Tencent Security Labs tested several models of BMW, during which time they discovered 14 exploits, one of which was a Bluetooth, 6 remote access, 4 ODB or USB exploits, and others required physical access to the vehicle in order to successfully compromise the system. Other flaws exist in the overall design of the vehicles themselves. During the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, when they ran their tests, they found that 2 of Tesla's models, Model S and 3, failed to stop for stationary objects at speeds of 31 miles. However, the vehicles did slow down to reduce the severity of the damage. According to Tesla, the vehicle operated as expected. Other researchers have made claims pointing to passive key entry systems, allowing for a possible intrusion. While many agree that designing vehicles from the ground up with security in mind, they don't agree on how it should be done, and with what technology. To date, there aren't any universal standards in regard to securing autonomous vehicles. But how do these autonomous vehicles see their surroundings to successfully navigate? The technology behind the sight of autonomous vehicles includes light detection and ranging, LiDAR, radar, sonar, cameras, ultrasonic sensors, and a centralized computer. LiDAR works by allowing the vehicle to have 360 degrees of visibility at all times, coupled with precise depth perception of plus or minus 2 centimeters. LiDAR is continuously firing off its lasers, which then impact a target in return. The return value is then calculated, and its distance to target is confirmed. While this technology is not unique to the autonomous vehicle industry, it has proven to be an invaluable resource in the development process by mapping the area around them. While LiDAR imaging is superior to other methods of detection, it does break down during snow and foggy weather. However, companies such as Luminar Tech are breaking these limitations by improving upon the existing technology by utilizing more exotic materials and operating on different wavelengths. Radio detection and ranging, otherwise known as radar, is utilized by bouncing radio waves off the target and measuring its return time, thus allowing the vehicle to track the objects in its field. However, the resolution of the images that are returned are not as clear as those returned by LiDAR. These radio waves are sent with short, intermittent bursts, and the vehicle then listens for the return of the waves. While light and radio waves travel at the same speed, the radio waves are longer and utilize a lower frequency. Furthermore, when objects are in close proximity, the radar becomes confused and can group the objects together. Sound navigation and ranging, sonar, utilizes sound waves for its navigation. However, its range is limited to approximately 5 meters and is used more for the parking assist features that are available, as its limitations are drastically reduced when utilized outside of an aquatic environment. Ultrasonic sensors, which are the least expensive sensor on the vehicle, utilize high-frequency sound pulses which reflect off of its surface, which are then measured for their return time from a given target. All of these sensors are worthless without a centralized computer. This computer takes in the data that is obtained from all the sensors on a given vehicle, processes the data, displays it in a meaningful manner, and then makes decisions based on the supplied data. This process, however, requires considerable processing power, and some latency can occur if proper bandwidth is not available to process all the incoming raw data. Digital engineering 24/7. With all the technology and science driving autonomous vehicles, one question we need to ask ourselves is, how are we, the consumer or members of a community, impacting the technology? Some people view the technology as allowing the machine to take over and not for the better. Others are quick to embrace the technology by jumping on board with Tesla's autopilot or participate in Waymo's early rider program. Regardless of the views, the everyday citizen directly impacts the technology driving these vehicles just by being in its environment. Consider that you're approaching a stop sign or railroad tracks on the horizon. Human drivers don't necessarily come to a full and complete stop or look both ways before crossing into the intersection, whereas an autonomous vehicle in the same scenario would be required to come to a full and complete stop. That same autonomous vehicle needs to be able to determine whether or not it has the right of way, whether the vehicle in front of it is going to stop, whether it can safely proceed through the intersection, or if there are obstacles in the way of its progression. Human drivers rely on visual cues from other motorists when two vehicles arrive simultaneously, whereas autonomous vehicles require the use of regression algorithms, pattern recognition, clustering, and decision-making algorithms. Even with these advanced features, accidents do occur. In 2015, Google's first major accident occurred. The vehicle rear-ended another vehicle while 3 Google employees were inside, all of which reported minor whiplash, while the third party has claimed severe neck and back pain. In 2016, a Tesla Model S, allegedly in the company's autopilot mode, rear-ended a maintenance vehicle, which resulted in the Tesla driver's death. According to Digital Trends, this is the first recorded incident of a fatality with an autonomous vehicle. In 2016, Google recorded its first crash where the autonomous vehicle was considered at fault. While attempting to merge back into traffic after it had successfully avoided an obstacle, it sideswiped a bus. The company later stated that from this point forward, the vehicles will have a better understanding of larger vehicles on the road and how they are less likely to yield the right-of-way. The United States witnessed its first death due to an autonomous vehicle accident in 2016, owing to a Tesla vehicle not recognizing a white truck. Due to the error in the detection system, the driver lost its life. However, Tesla quickly deflected responsibility, stating that the driver should have remained alert. In 2018, the driver of an autonomous vehicle working for Uber was distracted with videos from Hulu, which caused him to fatally strike a pedestrian in the crosswalk. Due to the collision, Uber temporarily suspended all autonomous vehicle testing and cooperated with local authorities during the investigation. During the investigation, it was discovered that one of Uber's modified vehicles, a Volvo XC90, repeatedly violated traffic laws to include moving into bicycle lanes. Digital Trends. We also need to examine the interactions that operators, passengers, and members of a community have with the new technology. When considering a human driver, will an inexperienced user override autonomous vehicle controls at the wrong time, thus causing an accident? E.R. Straub makes several claims in his article, It Takes Two to Tango, Automated Vehicles and Human Beings Do the Dance of Driving. 4 social considerations for policy. First, that given an option to take over a vehicle at higher levels of automation such as levels 4 and 5, may not result in the best possible outcome. Meaning, if at level 5, automation, a human driver elects to take control over a vehicle when controls are present, they may be in fact negatively impacting the environment in which the vehicle is operating. Furthermore, during one of their studies, they noticed that during the presence of manual controls, the human driver assumed control of the vehicle for longer durations than that of a vehicle with only a start and stop button. Second, not all members of society know exactly how an autonomous vehicle is going to react in a given situation. Human beings can wrongly assume that they know how a vehicle is going to react given their interactions with other human drivers. In areas where autonomous vehicles are currently being tested, the surrounding community is more aware of the presence of the autonomous vehicles. As such, their behaviors may have been modified to one that is more conducive to the interaction with these vehicles. Finally, in a study by the Institution of Civil Engineers, ICE, to determine acceptance and knowledge of autonomous vehicles, they held a series of workshops where various members of the community were invited to attend. These various members included drivers, non-drivers, professional stakeholders, and special needs. During these sessions, some participants conveyed fears of Big Brother scenarios, sanitation concerns, safety and ethical dilemmas where accidents are concerned, decrease in human interaction, and loss of jobs. Clearly, attitude and acceptance will play a huge role in the interaction with autonomous vehicles. In order to improve acceptance, industry leaders will need to reach out to members of the community to take part in studies or educate them on the technology that is arriving in their areas. Only through this educational process can we hope to increase the level of acceptance and utilization of the technology. In closing, I would like to give special thanks to the Math, Computer Science, and Information Technology Services Department for their time and understanding during the past 3 years of my education, to Matthew Holcomb for his guidance in the use of his equipment, to the following musicians for their express written permission, Eddie Music and Scott Holmes LLC. Last and certainly not least, I would like to thank Waymo for personally providing materials relevant to this project. Thank you again.